Wow, everybody's waiting.
Hey, look at that.
I know. Ooh, waiting for it to pop up. Can you see us, everyone?
Hopefully it will work.
Ooh, yes. Ooh,
Is it up?
yes.
Oh, yep, there we are. Okay. Hello.
Hi, friend.
Hi. Hi, Jen. Did you change your books behind you? They look very pretty. Like the rainbow is very organized.
No, I just have things up a little higher this time. So I think you're seeing them more. Also, I did fill them in because I've been reading some of them. So then I got to fill them back in. These are my like unread books. The rainbow ones are. So anyway. Hey, everybody. Oh, my word. Are you so excited to talk about these books, guys? These were quite the ride. I'm excited.
This was seriously a ride. I was very, it was really, well, we'll talk about it. Look at all these people. There's Patty.
Yeah, we're going to show up.
Elizabeth. It's Elizabeth's birthday today, too. Happy birthday, Elizabeth.
Happy birthday. Ashley, yes. Yes. Glad you're here. Stacy, Kelly, Dana. Hey, Dana.
We have, this is Nick here.
Hello.
Ashley. Happy birthday to E, Elizabeth. Oh, this is so fun.
Yeah, number one, thank you guys for reading 3 books with us because, you know, we don't do anything chill. We're like, let's read 3 books.
I know, it's so, it's funny.
Yeah, and then have our next one 2 weeks later because we need to get back on. Tiffany! Hi, Tiffany! Hi, Dana! Oh, man, I love you all. I'm so excited. I love live shows.
There's Christy. Okay, this is exciting.
It is.
There's so many people here. Okay, well.
All right, what do you want to start with? Yeah.
Well, let's start with our overall impressions of the series. Like maybe which books were our favorites and which were our least favorites and things like that. So if you're watching, you're welcome to comment along with us, and I will go through your comments on the screen. And if I'm too fast, just say, whoa, slow down.
If you want to order them, how about we'll use the main thing. So say Rogue, Scott, Duchess, however you're going to rank, so that you don't have to do that. Like just put them in your orders while we kind of talk about ours. I was really thinking about this right before because I was trying to think about who my favorite heroines were, and the stories. And so to rank these from least to best, this was tough. I mean, we'll have to talk about it. But after thinking about it and like talking with other people, I have to say my least favorite is A Scott in the Dark. I just had to. It was my least favorite.
I knew.
I didn't want it to be, and that's why it is, because I was so disappointed. And then The Rogue Not Taken was great, good time. And I mean, this was my favorite. I think it's going to be most people's favorite. I mean, surprise me. Does someone have a different favorite than The Day of the Duchess? Because I feel like this series exists so that we can get to this. Yes, Kelly, reigns eternal. That's great. Hi. Yes. Patty, I have things to say about that as well. That will come up. Duchess
Rogue. Sorry. This is hard, Dana. I am with you on that. Okay. I'm trying.
With you.
Scott, Duchess, Rogue.
Oh, all right. I got things to say.
I am with you, Kelly. Duchess reigns eternal always, for sure, for me.
Right.
Enjoyed the books. Okay.
Duchess
Rogue, Scott. It seems like Scott is pretty common to be. Oh my gosh, these are getting away from me. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Duchess, Rogue, Scott. A bit disappointed. Yeah. We definitely have things to say about that one.
Yeah.
Hey Morgan, glad you popped in.
Hello and goodbye. Love you for saying hi to us. I just I know, Patty.
Rogue,
Why
Scott, Duchess,
about it? I just want to climb him like a tree, and I'm like, get it together. I guess that was the point. People wanted to climb him like a tree, but they didn't want to put a ring on it, and I'm like, confused.
Bex, did you finish, Bex? I saw you were trying to hurry and finish. Okay.
Who's your favorite?
Let's
Okay.
see.
And did not like it. I like the first one.
Oh.
So did you not read Duchess yet then? Okay, Scott wrote Duchess. Yeah.
Okay. So
you.
My favorites, my least favorite is Rogue. I still liked it. Like, that's the thing that's hard, is that I still really enjoyed all of these. Like, there wasn't a single one in here that I like disliked. My second favorite was Scott. I actually liked this. I had one problem with it, but other than that, I really loved it. Yeah. And my favorite forever, Duchess. It's just so good. So wonderful.
Literally have 10 pages left. Wow. Awkward Annie. You better get on that. Tiffany, yes, absolutely.
Duchess, I've heard a lot of people say Duchess is too angsty for them.
Yes.
Yeah.
I see why you would say it.
I can understand that too. Yeah.
If you saw my weekly wrap up, I talked about it today. So tomorrow when you see my weekly wrap up, you'll see how I feel about it.
The grovel.
I have some things to say about Sarah MacLean's grovels. So we'll get
Oh, adore. Yes, I adore Alec. Yeah. Duchess is my fave. Okay. All right. So which should we talk about them in order? We can just do likes, dislikes,
sure,
like that. So we'll start off with Rogue.
King and Sophie.
So I really loved like the whole plot of this. It seemed like it had such a fun plot. There were so many good moments. And as I was like going over this again to get ready to talk, I forgot that there was a caretaking scene in this. I just filmed a caretaking romances video. Yeah. And I really love the heroine in this a lot. I think my biggest issue, and the reason I didn't love this more, is that I just didn't really love the hero that much. I felt like he was kind of a jerk for too much of the book, that I just hot doctor. Yes, I remember that. Oh yeah. Also, yes, underwater ballroom banging, and like the whole opening scene, like when she pushes the Duke of Haven into the pond and then she like escapes, the road trip aspect. I feel like there was so much to really like about this one, but I mean, that's the thing. Like, if I really love a romance, it really depends on if the hero is a guy I can really get behind, and I just wasn't a huge fan of him. So I agree. I really loved Sophie. I think Sophie was probably my favorite heroine out of the three, maybe. I don't know, because I still love Sarah all the time.
And her comeback in the Duchess, where she's like, dude, we hate you. So we're not here to like, we hate you.
Yeah.
I love that about her. And, like, great.
This is true, Nick. Very much agree.
Yeah. The biggest thing with this one too for me is that the as soon as someone hears something bad, that they 100% believe it immediately.
True. Yeah.
Any romance where we've been building up a relationship, it immediately makes me dislike whoever immediately jumps to conclusions. And I know his thing is that he's been burned before. That's supposed to be, when you've been burned before, and then you learn this about this person and you feel completely justified that that's what they are doing to you. But I still hate when we run immediately. Like, I don't like it. Because I'm like, I think of my favorite romances. This is what I was comparing. Like, when I think of my favorite romances, it's like, that is always what makes it a favorite, is that whoever's hurt the other person, even when we're pissed, if you can let the person talk first, like if we can talk about it first,
yeah,
instead of having to be like, oh, I didn't see you for how many months or weeks, or I'm not going to talk to you for this amount of time beforehand. I get so mad. So anyway, but I like them. I love the one thing too is like what Sarah like kind of based this series on, is it being based on like headlines and like gossip rags. I thought that was a really cool idea, is to have that little piece at the beginning of each one, like some gossip or something. That was kind of cool.
That was very cool. I really loved that too. It was Yeah, and I think that, so I read Duchess first, and
Mm.
then I started with Rogue, and I'm actually glad that I did that, because knowing what we do of like Maul and in this book, like how he was caught being unfaithful, even though we knew that that was suggested in Duchess, like I would have disliked him a lot more. So I was kind of glad that I read Duchess first, but I don't know. The Minotaur mythology was very, very cool. I agree. That was very cool.
Yeah. They're the Kardashians. That's true. That's true. The dangerous daughters. Yeah. But in general, this being me liking this one more than Scott all has to do with what the problem I had with Scott. Because initial rating, like, this was probably my like least of all. Still gave it 4 stars, because no matter whether it's working for me or not, Sarah still writes a very good book. And there's not things that are like poorly done in the book. It's more that it's not what I vibe with. And this is just, it's just something I'm slowly coming to. Like, I love a story that she tells, especially when I listen to it on audio. I feel like it's told so well, and pacing can be good. But especially after hearing some interviews with her, I know that the things that Sarah values in her story aren't the same as what I do. So even when I read the story, I'm like, this is so well done.
Yeah.
It's not like connecting with me the way it might with someone else, the way that it does with so many. So this was a 4-star read. I really enjoyed it. But there's still that part that's missing for me, because of I know how she tells a story. And so as soon she even says it, she's like, I don't like to write sex once they love each other. Once it is, it's boring. And I'm like, that's my favorite kind. She said that in her interview with the other book club, and I was like, that makes sense, because now that I know that now, though, I can appreciate the intimacy I'm getting before that, because I know for her it means we're working through angst in our intimate scenes, and once we have worked through our angst, we don't need to see it anymore. So when I now know that going into her stories, it's like, okay, I know what I'm getting into with it. This is how it's going to be structured. I'm going to be okay with that. But just putting out my heart on that, that's tough for me, because I like to see the intimacy once we are, and she wants to be like, yay, the happily ever after is there. We made the HEA, we're done. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yes, we're happy.
And I feel like that's one of the main things that I love about her books is just that she really gets you into every single layer of the intimacy, so that when you get to the steamy scene, like, it's just a full reward for all of the work and all of the connection that they've put in to get there. Like, I mean, it's never without meaning, and I don't know, I just really, really love that. But I have heard a lot of people say that they weren't happy that there was only one scene like that, but I just really loved it, Kelly.
I guess my point, and because I think this is a thing that like I come across as wanting there to be more sex and stuff, is just a thing, because I've said it as a joke and as truth. Like, I like to read that in a romance, but more so what I mean is that, like, I don't like that to be the final thing. Like, we've worked up to it, and it's happened, and that means we're happy because we got there. I just like to see a little more of it after the fact, and whether that's even one more chapter of stuff. But again, now they know that's how she will always write. That's how she has and will always write. I just have to be in that frame of mind to be like, this is what it's all building to. And once we get there, we draw the curtain. That's how it's going to be. So that's just a preference in like how I like. And it's one of the reasons why I do like arranged marriages at the front of a book, or because then we're still working through our stuff in our intimate scenes, but we get to see that arc of them together instead of at the end. But anyway, that's not just a Sarah thing. That's just a Jenn thing of like explaining myself.
And maybe, and I feel like that's after like really thinking about what we wanted to talk about today, and reading different reviews and listening to different people's opinions on these books, like, it really brought home to me how individual, I mean, like, I knew this before, but how individual every reading experience is for everybody, like, I was listening to pretty much a rant review of Day of the Duchess, and I was just like, everything that they felt was wrong with it were things that I liked. And it was just like, so it doesn't mean that it's either way is bad. It's just your own personal. But anyway, should we talk about Dana's comment right here? Because this,
here we go. Let's
This
hold
is
it up
our issue. Yeah.
now. Dana, girl, you got us. You got us here. And one thing I'll say, because we'll talk about this in a minute. There being fallout after those scenes in this completely different than when it's happening in this, because there will be fallout from it, because these people are trying to hide how they feel and they're trying to do that stuff. So when the sex bursts over and we have it, then it's like, no, I'm walking away. But in this one, I said it 3 times. Third time you're out. I don't even want you to be together. So, okay. I'm sweating a little bit. We have a sip of my vodka water over here. There you go. Okay. All right. So, great hero for the most part. Cool setup. I love the idea of this, of a historical version of a sex tape or a nude. And then, what happened, Crystal? What happened in this book? Because I just getting too worked up about it. But it drove home something that you and I have talked about. Going back as far as our, this one.
Yes.
Aware of this. And now I see it too much. So thanks for opening my eyes. But I'll
it was the white fanging. That's the thing that was my big issue with Scott, is that he felt so badly about himself, and he was constantly feeling like he wasn't worthy of her, to just a self-destructive level, and it was just painful to watch. And when you felt like he had overcome it in that intimacy scene, and that he was gonna make a go of it and they were gonna be together, and then he just pushes her away and leaves, and I was just like, I am done. I'm so mad. I was so mad.
I like Tiffany's comment for me, because this was the thing too. She said, she says repeatedly, he left me again.
Yeah. Yes.
It's one thing too where the heroine has felt abandoned. She's had how many different guardians, all these different things. And even in one scene, she's like, stay with me. And then he's gone in the morning. And so to me, then it isn't even just a matter of you being insecure that you're not good enough for this person or whatever, but you have directly hurt her. You've done something she said that I need from you. I need you to stay. And so that last time when he does it, I was pretty much done with the book. And we talked about when I first read it, this one I rated this one 4-star, but it's a 3.5-star. And even more talking about it, it's more of a 3-star for me, because there then was no grovel at this one. He showed up to support her when she showed the painting, but we were like, oh, him showing up is them. And then their little epilogue, which I want to be so happy about because it was adorable, but I was like, you didn't earn it, dude. You did not earn the love of this woman to me. And especially when Sarah says she likes the grovel in her books, and we see it in so many books, all her grovel. And I'm like, he needed cold storage, to use this term. He needed cold storage for this, because it's more than just we hooked up and oh, we're not right for each other, or oh, I don't want to be stuck in marriage. His only reason is that he feels like he wasn't good enough for her, and she asked him to stay. It wasn't oh, maybe she doesn't want me to be here because other women have kicked me out of her bed. She said, stay in my bed, and still left.
And I think that's something that makes it so especially painful, because she's being so vulnerable with him and asking him for what she wants and for what she needs. And he still leaves. And I'm like, no. It was just, because
this
so hard.
So cool. I thought it was so unique. I like that she'd had all different guardians, but she's 25, 6. I can't remember how old she was, but she's basically a spin.
I think she's
still has
20.
guardians.
Yeah.
And I liked kind of the deal they were making with each other. So the whole setup of the stuff was great. It was only the sex scenes that ruined this one for me. The aftermath of the sex scenes. From the fumbling in the carriage to the 2 different times there was sex scenes. None of them was satisfying. Because it's immediate. And then when I'm listening to the book and reading it, and I'm literally cringing away from the story. And I think that's a thing for me that I'll be honest about. sex scenes in Sarah MacLean books is I can't pick many where there isn't someone leaving afterwards.
Yeah, that's what Dana said something about that up here.
So I would really love to be surprised by one, because I'm going to keep reading this woman's books because the stories are great. But honestly, like when we're leading up to a sex scene, I'm like, what is the probability that someone's going to run out of here? Mm-hmm. As I've said quite graphically in my books, when some things are still happening. Won't be on Crystal's channel, but I've said it on mine, and I'm just... There is in one of the books I even read. So this wasn't in one. It wasn't in one of these. I'd read it in a contemporary book because it was a one-night stand one where totally different situation. That line was actually said. The blank was still dry, and he ran out the door. And I was like, "Oh, this is the thing." But it was played for comedy in that book, not soul-rending. He left me because her entire time she's looking for someone to be there for her, and that's what she wants, you know. So
and I agree with Nick in this comment so much. Like it is like, it just feels like it just hurts so bad. And then I also feel like for them to come together again, that level of trust that was there in the first place, it's not going to be the same. They're not going to have that level of trust, but I don't necessarily feel like it was shown that way, you know. Like I definitely feel like once you trust someone so much and you completely lay down all your walls to just be abandoned like that, you're not going to just bounce back. You're just not going to. But Sarah MacLean out there.
Yeah. So and that's just the thing of like why I think these books are so hard for me is because, again, I think the stories are so well told and I enjoy the plots and what's happening, but I don't enjoy the sexual manipulation that I feel. Like I feel it because I'm so excited for this to happen between these two, and then she does it reverse wise too. There's a book where females do it to men.
Oh yeah, all the time. Yeah.
And that doesn't matter. I love what Dylan said. He said we need to normalize aftercare. Yes. The BDSM people do it right. Apparently historical romances need to figure it out, because I just read a whole series of dark romance. Tiffany will know what I'm talking about. The darkest mafia men you've ever read, and they fucking cuddle afterwards. And they're like, "Are you okay?" Because that was kind of intense. You need that after normal time too. Anyway, I'm a little upset.
Okay, let's talk about, this was one of my favorite moments in Scott, though, right here, when she wears his plaid. Yes. I loved that so much. That was probably one of my favorite moments, and I loved how he was just like so possessive of her in that moment, like she was his. Like that was the Scottish hero that I was there for. I think that was probably the moment where I was like, okay, these are one of my favorite couples now, and they still are, even though they were big idiots. He was a big idiot.
Even though the book didn't.
Yeah.
To us, yeah. I've only read that in one other Scottish book where someone wore their plaid. It was a contemporary, and she like made a dress out of one of his plaids, and I like cried a little bit because I was like, yes. Wear someone's color. Love it. I love it.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Also, there was a mention of the dog dress. That was another favorite scene. Do you remember that? It was so freaking cute. The dog dress.
Yeah. Awkward Annie too says, because a lot of them are virgins too. It's even worse. Because what are you teaching people about?
True.
And so, yes. And also, the person exploited her the last time she was nude. That was another thing I meant to say.
Very true. That's like a great point.
This is a nude picture. And then he was like, honey, I was just doing it for the picture. And then what does he do? Even though in his mind, he's like, you're going to regret me. So I'm just going to go.
Yeah.
I was like, think of the context of the situation, dude. Why are you in England with her? You're here because someone painted her and is going to sell it. And then you're like, ah! Sorry, I'm not running.
So I do feel like I was that even though he left her and then she went to go to the painting unveiling by herself, like she was owning that moment. I liked that she had to, or she chose to do that by herself, where he wasn't like there supporting her. I felt like that was a big hero's journey for her to have to do that alone. So I did love that she got to do that, but I just wish that it hadn't happened the way it happened, that they hadn't just anyway. Yeah. So
yeah. Okay.
okay.
Well, how about we talk
So
about our favorite one now?
our favorite one.
I'll stop getting so hot about the Scott.
It's very upsetting, honestly. Like like I don't want to keep talking about it either, but my heart just dropped. I was like, no.
Yeah.
So
I think I need to make a video that isn't about my hottest sex scenes, but it's one about the sweetest ones, the ones that made me feel loved by. I think I need to make a video just to cleanse that of.
yes, that's a great idea.
Because I'll tell you, after I read that one, right, is when I went and read Devil's Bride.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, guys, Devil knows how to do a sex scene. He knows how to do it. He knows. But anyway, all right. Let's talk about Sarah.
Okay, let's talk about Sarah and Mal. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm having a hard time remembering their names. Okay.
There's a lot happening in this book.
There's so much happening in this book. So much happening.
Mm-hmm.
So what was your overall rating of this? I don't remember if you told me.
I give it 4.5 stars. Yeah.
4.5 stars.
Okay. A little half-C problem. But the story overall, so good. It brought so much stuff together. And yeah. Mal is probably second only to Ewan for me.
Yes.
Heroes. So I'll say that straight up. Like everyone who's watching, I've read 10 of Sarah's books now because I've read the Rules of Scoundrels, the Scandal and Scoundrels, and I've read the Bare Knuckle Bastards. And Mal is probably second only to Ewan for me because Ewan's my favorite. And then Beast like right on in there too. So it was 4.5 for me. And I just loved. I was leery of the flashbacks when it started because I'm not a fan of those in general. I don't like reading flashbacks when they're such a huge part of the book, I guess. Because I'm more of a person of like, how about we just tell it linearly differently? But with this one, yes, more than wit. Because that book's about Hattie for me, not about wit. Just being honest, I'm a Hattie or Wit, but
Wit is Jackie's favorite. So
well, he's great. I wasn't saying there's a big disparity, but it's like Ewan is my favorite hero. Anyway, sorry, sidetracked. What was I saying? So, but the further I got into the book, I was like, I see what we're doing. One of the things it really points out is that this whole book is just a devastating miscommunication. However, that can be a plot sometimes, like I really forget, like I think we're just used to really poorly done miscommunication in books where it could have so easily been fixed by something. The miscommunication at the heart of this book, it was a pretty big issue. So I understand why it lived on as long as it did, right? Because him feeling that he'd been tricked into this and her, going along with it to a certain point, but because she wanted him, but you waited too long to tell him and then now it's too much. Like it just breaks your heart because you're like, this so did not have to happen. These two could have been happily married all this time. This could have been so different. And so that's just what it is I agree with whoever earlier said that it being your least favorite because of the level of angst for you. Yeah. And I say this in my review, this wasn't a pleasant book for me to read, but it was such a powerful story. Mm-hmm. And the miscommunication felt like it was a miscommunication that would have happened based on the setup and what the fallout was. And then where we went from there. Like, I believed it. It. I'm like, don't do this. Each new flashback, you're like, don't do this. Don't do it. Because we're not together at that point.
But that honestly is one of the things that I loved most of this. Like a lot of you said, I love a second chance marriage in trouble. Like I love that so much. And I felt like all of their struggles in here, I felt like they were very realistic. And even though it was largely based on miscommunication, you could see like it felt like it was exactly true. Like it was so hard for them to actually communicate this, because like Dana said, lack of trust paired with the miscommunication, it was just like the complete obvious way of how this is exactly how a miscommunication would happen. And then to throw into that the miscarriage and the things that had happened to them on top of that, it made it even harder. And I feel like all of those things combined, I love how they had like their first meeting in here is one of my favorite first meetings. I felt like the banter, like Sarah was so witty with him and he was so taken with her, and I loved the flashbacks of that. So you got to see that they had this beginning, this really powerful spark-filled connection in the beginning, and they went through a lot of miscommunication and a lot of heartache and a lot of trouble. And so then to see them come like full circle with that redemption arc and to fix everything and try again, and the epilogue, the happily ever after, like it just worked for me completely. Like I can see how this isn't for everyone. I totally can see that, but it was everything for me. Like I absolutely love this book so much.
I think I told you in one of the Voxers that it was at a 4-star until the epilogue. Then I went to like, okay, she got me in the field of that, because so many, like not so many people, but a lot of people like, I don't need babies in an epilogue. And I was like, I fucking needed babies in the epilogue. Just coming out for years. I needed the babies all over. Because I mean, we've both shared this, like loss of a child in whether miscarriage or abortion or any of those is like my biggest like trigger. That's not like, it doesn't send me into spirals, but it's the most painful thing for me to read. Yeah. And so in this one, I was like, Sarah, this one, I need more time with them. So I really was like, yes, show me all the beauty of this. So yeah, I did that a lot. Someone had said, they said the miscommunication was earned. And I agree with that. Like earned as in, it was so believable. That one was far up beyond. Okay. Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
I agree. It really, I that's one reason why, like, I personally feel like this is her best work, as far as like, I feel like the time jumps were handled like so perfectly. Like it was like you cut from one scene to go to the perfect starting point in the future, and then you go back, and I was just like amazed at how well it was thought. Like it was so well thought out. All of the emotions were just like drawn on this string, like where you thought it was going to break, and then it was just. I know, I'm sorry, I'm just gushing now, but I can't help it. Let's see what Kelly has to say. Sarah has an episode.
Yeah.
I would love to hear that. I would really love to hear that.
I've listened to that one. That's what I said of like, she doesn't always do babies. She'll show people getting pregnant, but not actually show babies in her episode. Well, and a lot of times too, because she doesn't jump ahead. Like a lot of her series dovetail right into each other. So you can't skip ahead 2 years and show the baby, because we're going to tell a story that's right there. So a lot of times she doesn't do that. But yes, I know. Don't.
I will agree with Christy. I definitely felt like I was very worried how the HEA was going to work out here, because and I feel like this is my thing. When it seems like it's impossible and like it's not going to work out, and then it does, I just love it. I love it so much, because if it's not done with just the right amount of like just with like an artist's hand, the way that she made it all work out is just like, I don't know, it's just so fantastic. It's just so good.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't remember what I was going to say. Hold on. Let my brain think. Nope, it's gone. Let's read it. Okay, I loved. Oh, I was going to say that's what I love about dark romance, which is one of the things I like when I say historical, is because when you start a story where you're like, this is a bully romance, how's she going to end up with this person? So, yes, I definitely agree.
That's a really great point, actually. That is a really good point. I just was thinking about, we need to find a dark historical romance to do amongst all the angst we have. This Bachelor fiasco. That's so true. We haven't even mentioned the Bachelor fiasco. Like,
or like, let's talk about that, and then all of the seeds there are for the bare knuckle bastards in here.
Yes, and for her new book, right? Yeah. Because Caleb and Cecily. Caleb, I loved Caleb. He was just like, oh, my favorite. I can't wait for him to be in the new one.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. You go ahead.
No, that's what I was gonna say. I was like, I love seeing Felicity in here because Wicked and the Wallflower was it was the first Sarah MacLean but I DNF'd it the first time I read it. And then I went and read a different series first before I went back to it again. But it was really fun to see her be one of the bachelorettes. And to see that. Yeah, it was just so great. I don't know. And to hear the bare knuckle bastards mentioned, they said a pair of brothers who run, and like Caleb was getting into problems with them and stuff. He's like, I have a meeting with them about some stuff. So, yeah.
No, I know, like, I didn't know, like, I feel like that was kind of the fun thing for, I don't know if you all felt like this, but like even though I know Sarah MacLean has that way of like putting her characters in, like, because Sophie, right, was in the Rules series. I haven't read that one yet, but I've heard that she was in the first series. She showed up there. And I love how we got to see Felicity in here. Like, it made me love her even more because Felicity is one of my favorite heroines.
Cool.
And I dearly loved seeing Wit and Devil. It was just
I think it was in this one. You can help me. I think in this one, they're at the club. I think they're at the club that's in this series. Because
that's right. That's right. Yes.
And his wife, and that's how the lady and her cover or whatever. Because I was like, oh yeah, her, yay! I'm trying not to say things. You haven't read that series. I mean, you probably know that, but that series is. Series,
so we have the 9 Rules series. I can't remember. Rules of Love series, I think is what it's called. That one came first, and then it was the Rules of Scoundrels, and then it was this series, and then it was the Bare Knuckle Bastards.
Yeah.
And then, yes. So I believe they are all set in the same universe. I'm pretty sure that they are because we have a lot of crossover.
That's what it's called. It's called the Angel.
The Fallen Angel, yeah.
That has it's run by the 4 scoundrels run it. So yes, the Fallen Angel. You got it.
Yeah, Love by Numbers. That's it. That's the one series I haven't read yet. I was going to try and read that before tomorrow. I failed. But those are next on my list.
You want to save it. I don't have any of her books to read for a long time. So.
I know, that's true. Like, I know Dana keeps wanting me to read 9 Rules, and I really want to read it too. But I keep saving it for a rainy day.
Yeah. But Georgina and Duncan. Yes. Yeah. Oh, Georgina. She's my favorite heroine.
She is fantastic. I don't know that's the tough one. Should we rank our favorite heroes and our favorite heroines?
Sure, if you want to. Well, okay, I have to talk about the problem I had with the book now.
Okay, yes. I'm sorry. I just got on my gush train.
I love your gush train. I love it.
I had no problems.
Yeah. My problem, and this again is an issue that I have with just how things wrap up sometimes in these stories, is that I didn't like the grand gesture in this one. I said it. I saw some people saying how much they love it, but I wanted him to offer her the divorce and then her to be like, I don't need it. We're good. I wanted it to work out that way instead. Because especially I think where we're looking how difficult to have that divorce was. And then for them to get remarried after it, I was like, I love his gesture. I wish he had made the gesture. And then she was like, or accepted it and then immediately proposed to him in front of us. Like I would have liked if she had done it back. I don't know. It's just an issue for me of sometimes what the heroes have to do. And it's just me. It's just me because I love him so much. And I saw the pain he had too, as being they both were equally hurt by things. Once you know how he was hurt, I feel equal on. It's the same way I felt about Ewan. I was like, everyone's shitting on this man. And he's been the silent hero this whole time. And then he's still the one who has to in that one, he needed to do the thing. I won't say the thing and ruin it. But in this one, for me, just from a sense of it, I didn't want it to go through because I wanted her to be like, I don't need this. But I get why people love it. So it's one of those where just for me, when I was reading it and we're on the floor and he's like, I'm giving it to you. I wanted her to be like, well, that would be a waste of time because I'm going to marry you again tomorrow or something. I just wanted that to be said. Because I wanted us to equally be sorry. I don't know. It's just a thing for me. I'm like, yeah, but that's me. I know not everyone agrees, but
And I know when I was reading it, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, no, don't divorce. Like, just be happy ever after. But when you look at it, especially from this point of view that Dana says the heroine's wishes is always the most important, I feel like that's so true. And that's exactly what happened here, is that in order for her to really feel like it was her choice, it had to be, he had to give her agency and her choice right there. And even though like it did seem kind of like, well, they're just going to get married again anyways, like I did like seeing that he did that and it ended. So but I can see your point of view too, because
I just think it's too big of to me it was like too big of a thing for the time for it to actually go through, because I was like, can you even remarry someone you divorced back then? Like, what is it? And I know we're like, don't be too historical. I'm not trying to be too historical because it's a fantasy. It's a fantasy. But I also just believe in the forgiveness of it. And I feel like since we've come to that spot, I feel like his gesture of like, I wanted them to talk about it again. Like, I wanted him to be like, I'm willing to give you this.
yeah.
Or like he's written her a letter that was like, I'm going to give you this because you deserve to have everything you want. And then I wanted her to like tear it up in front of him or to burst back in. And because at the beginning she said she wanted a divorce, I wanted her to burst in and be like, I don't need it, because he's going to give her everything. And then she can be like, you were going to give me everything. So let's do this. But I know what you're saying. Like the break had to happen, but.
And I think too, like being able to see him give her that divorce and having it be over and then wanting to be together again, I feel like that brought a new level of trust for him, for her, because I feel like once he was ready to let go, but then he accepted her again, like it just felt like that was a surefire way for that trust issue to be resolved. But I agree that it definitely could have just been a forgiveness issue. So because it's all about the power dynamic. Yeah, that's very true. I definitely agree with that for sure, because and that's why I really didn't have a problem with it either, is because he so clearly had all of the power in that relationship, even though she went away. I mean, even just her having to go and ask for the divorce, like you could see that it was so much of it was out of her hands, that seeing him give her what she wanted the most was just like, even though it hurt him for him to just give her the choice, was just like, that's the part that made me just weep.
Yeah. But
because that is what when you love someone, you put their wishes ahead of your own, even if it hurts you, and that's what he did right there. And I feel like that's what makes him such a great hero for me.
Yeah. And so this is where we come to the point of like, that's what about Sarah MacLean like always works for you.
Yeah. True.
That is what you love about her. And consistently in the books of hers you've loved and the things you bring up, that's what you love.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what works for so many people. Like, it's just a part of me that I don't need that extra painful twist that I feel like happens in so many of her books. Like, I just get exhausted by them.
And I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah, it's like people said, like, it's the angst level for me, where I would have liked this too. We went through all of this. I want to give you whatever you want, and then there to be the olive branch the other way. But this is a preference thing. It is exactly. It works for the story. It's the same way I felt about how Daring and the Duke. I don't like the ending of that one, but I understand the point of it. That's my favorite, one of my favorites by her, but I just don't like that kind of a story. Like, that's the point. I don't like where it has to be that way. So that's the preference thing where I'm talking about, where I just want us to be like, I learned the lesson, and I want us to just like, we learned the lesson. We're here. We have the trust back. We got it. But I get it. I get it. So that's what I know I'm getting when I read MacLean. And that's why I think, and what this whole process came for is, so I read those 10 books of hers I've read in the last 2 months, and I just need a breather from it all, because it was too too many angst-filled of them all in a row.
Yeah. I definitely feel like reading all of these, even though like I just skimmed over Day of the Duchess today. I read that at the end of December.
Yeah.
But reading, like, I feel like the angst level in this series is probably the highest in any of her books, other than, I mean, I haven't read the first series, but I just feel like the angst in here is like, and I feel like it starts out low in Rogue, and then Scott just seemed like so much more angsty, and then this one was angst on a whole another level. But for me, the angst in here was like my perfect brand of angst. This was.
You don't want to read books like that 24 all the time. That's what makes it favorite for you. That's what made it like, I haven't read it done this way. That's what makes Sarah MacLean stand out to people. So there's nothing to critique about that. That works for people. So yeah. What were we going to talk about before I want to talk about that? Oh, we were going to rank some stuff. So you're wanting to rank the ones we've read? We've read different ones, but
I think we may have read the same, because I haven't read her very first series, and that's it. But I've read, and you haven't
read the Rules of Scoundrels either, though.
I've read that one, yeah.
Oh, then why did you? What were we talking about then? You must have been confusing the series because you've read those ones.
What are you talking about?
I thought you said you haven't read the Rules of Scoundrels.
No, I haven't read the Love by Numbers series, the very first one.
Okay. You seemed confused when I was talking about Georgina and Duncan, so that's why I thought you hadn't read those ones. But we talked about those, so we definitely did. We've read all the same books then. Yes, we have. Yeah. Correct. Yeah, okay. That's tough. I mean, I know kind of who my top 3 peeps are for each.
Okay, so let's do that. Let's do top 3. Let's do top 3 heroes, top 3 heroines.
Okay.
That is still hard.
I know. I'm looking at. I have these ones here. Okay. Favorite heroines are probably Georgina, Hattie, and
Pippa.
Those are probably my favorites. And then my favorite here. Well, what's your favorite heroine? Sorry, I won't rush ahead.
My very favorite heroine is Hattie, for sure. Yeah. And then I think my second favorite heroine is probably Pippa. No, and then Sarah. Sarah is my second favorite from this one. Yeah. And then Pippa. Pippa is my third favorite heroine.
Pippa's just so great.
She's so great. She's so great. Hattie, Sarah, Felicity. I almost picked Felicity. But I just love Pippa. I don't know. I love Pippa in her book, but then I love seeing her pop up in No Good Dukes, and I don't know. I think she's great. Felicity.
Yeah, when they're all together at the last one, I love that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love Georgina.
Mara.
I love her.
I almost picked Mara.
Yeah. And then my heroes. Well, I think I already said it. It's Ewan, Mal, and is it Whit? Is it Whit or is it Duncan? I like Duncan a lot too. Yeah, Whit and Duncan are probably like tied for me, but it's Ewan, Mal, and then Whit and Duncan probably. That's my gut reaction.
This is so hard.
I know. Heroes are hard.
So I think my favorite hero. My favorite hero is Mal. Mm-hmm. And my second favorite hero, I don't know. I can't choose. My second favorite hero is probably Cross. I love Cross. And then like I want to say Devil. Devil is my third favorite because of the lock picks. I don't know. I love Wit too though. Like it's so hard not to.
Yeah, she does have 2 Alex. I wonder because is he Alec too or Alex?
Alex, I think, right?
Alex and Alec, right? Or is his name? I mean, they call him Warnick, so maybe.
Yeah, that's true. And also like me sitting here and trying to remember names, like it's not gonna happen. Right. I am the worst at remembering names.
Yeah.
Temple. Born is a pretty good hero too.
Yeah.
Ewan. Was Ewan in yours?
Yeah. Jen? He's my favorite.
Okay, that's what I thought. I'm like,
You and Mal and Duncan and Wit. Yeah.
Okay.
Chase. Duncan Chase. Yeah. I love Georgina and Chase. Like, I love their whole dance. I love when he's putting it together. I love that. Yeah. Love that she's a mom and
Yes. I loved that too.
that book. Ewan and Devil. Mm-hmm.
Yes. I don't know. I think so. The first Sarah MacLean book I read was Bourne's book, which is A Rogue by Any Other Name. That was the first one I read.
Mm-hmm.
But the book that made me a huge fan was Wicked and the Wallflower. And so I just have a huge soft spot for Devil because I just thought he was so great.
Oh, yeah. You guys kept saying I forgot about Temple. The beginning of this book.
Yes, that
is
book.
so good. I forgot.
He's a favorite too. I love that book.
He's got tattoos. This is such a great, because I was like, oh yeah, this was such a great book. That's the thing. That's what I say, what keeps me coming back to her is her plots are always so unique. Like, her plots are always fantastic. The plot of this is so clever. So even when I'll get like annoyed with some of that stuff working out, I'm like, but this is such an interesting story. So that's why I'm like, I'm always going to read her books. Because even with the White Fanging and how I feel about how she builds her like intimacy levels, the story's so good. So it's like, I'm not bored while I'm reading the book. I just will get, the angst level will stress me out. Yeah. Temple. And I love like the, what's it called? What do they call the boxers and stuff? They call them something. What's it called? I can't remember. But they're called something when they have a name that pugilist. The pugilist.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I love that. So I love that he's the like, they fight me and they never win. And I love that about him.
This scene is seriously like one of the best. I think that's one of her best scenes in that book.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So good.
She has some great stuff peppered through. Like, yeah, so good.
So, how did you feel reading 3 books? Did you feel like reading a series of an author's work? Like, did that make you like appreciate her more? I mean, we all know we're huge fans of Sarah, but what did reading this series like? How did it make you think differently about maybe historical romance or her writing? Like, did it make you more of a fan? I definitely feel like for me, like I was able to see more of what her trademarks are and really appreciate like the journey of getting there and how interwoven they all were. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, seeing it as a whole entity.
Yeah.
I mean, she builds her world so well. So I don't know how to word this. Like, I feel that I enjoyed that, but I also feel like I maybe would have enjoyed them more if I'd read them as they were coming out and I had the space in between them. Because as I shared, like, it was a build upon build of angst. And by the time, so here's the thing too, especially after being so frustrated by Scott in the Dark. And then when I knew, because I'd seen your vlog, I'd heard about this book, I knew I was picking this one up. It was almost like I was so gun shy because I was like, this is going to hurt me so much. So even though the story was so beautiful and it has a lot of things. I love second chance romances too, by the way, guys, especially in historical romance. It's one of my favorite tropes in historicals. I was just like, I was afraid because I know that I'm going to watch 2 people who are hurting each other.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah.
And I felt the same way when I read the Bare Knuckle Bastard series because I knew when I got to Daring and the Duke, I was like, I'm going to watch 2 people who've been hurting each other for all this time.
Yeah. And like, I don't know what that says about me that I really love. I love the redemption of that. Like, I am a sucker for that when you know that they've been hurting each other, but then they come together anyway and they get that redemption. Like, I love that so much. I just do.
But Crystal, I just read a whole series about sex slaves. So what? like we have different kinds of angst we're looking at. You know,
it's so true. It's so true. Like I was talking,
Onward series about sex slavery, and that's angsty. Okay,
yeah, and that's so funny that because I remember you were saying this is too much. Like I can't read about this, and then you were telling me what you were reading about, and I'm like, I can't read about that.
I know. You know? You're kind of like, fine. Well, you're always so sweet, but you're like, I don't really know what you mean, Jen, because I'm reading it. And I'm like, it's different. Like it's just my brain when I go into a dark romance, I know what I'm going into, and it's just when I'm reading historical romance, I'm like, why?
And do you think it's because it's easier for you to like separate yourself from a dark romance because there's a part of it that's such a fantastical element that it's almost like you're reading a fantasy, and so it doesn't feel as close to home, maybe?
Yeah, absolutely. It's absolutely true for me because my brain is just prepared for them to be horrible to each other. Like
that's fair, you know.
When I'm reading a historical, I'm like, I want you to talk through stuff. I don't know. That doesn't make any sense. I don't know. I'm a confusing woman. Okay.
But and I don't know that we need to explain it. I just think it's so interesting, you know, like I just really have enjoyed talking, like, because Jen and I would talk about the books as we were reading them, and if she was really upset about something, she would talk to me about it, and it was just so interesting to see our different points of view and how, and I agree, like there's like Jackie said it, there can be appreciation for both, like, right, like there's not just one way. It's just so it's so cool to see how different you interpret it. So
yes.
Okay.
Now you're on to the final moment.
Enjoyed reading a series, kept me busy. That's awesome.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Tiffany, you crack me up. I don't get it.
Bed. She can't leave. You ain't leaving me, lady. You're stuck here. Yes.
Well, we're just about done. Should we talk about upcoming? Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say about this series?
No, but tune in tomorrow for the Queen.
Yes, on Jen's channel tomorrow. Same time, 5 p.m. MST, 6 p.m. CDT on Jen's channel. Sarah MacLean will be here. Make sure you come join us. So I'm very excited about that, and I am grateful that Jen is hosting it, so I don't have to stress about that.
I'm very excited. She's such a great lady.
That will be awesome. So then our next book is Stranger in My Arms by Lisa Kleypas.
Yep.
And that will March 11th. And we're changing the time to 6 and 7, right? Right? Okay.
Yeah, because I'm starting a new job, so I need a little more breathing room for that. But yeah. Yes, I don't know. Those of you who started, I already read Stranger in My Arms.
And she read it in like a day.
I didn't even mean to. I wasn't even done with Day of the Duchess yet. And I was cleaning and I was like, oh, I'll just start this. Yay, I'm so excited. And then I was like, whoa, I need to stop because I'm finished this in one sitting. So I literally stopped and went and finished Day of the Duchess. And then I binged the rest of Stranger in My Arms in the afternoon because it was so
I'm very excited for that one. I know I've seen a few like polarizing opinions. Like it seems like that's one that people either love or they hate. So I'm real curious to see how I feel. I'm excited about that.
And it's funny too, because as I'm reading and I'm like, number one, this is totally like a darker side of Lisa Kleypas. Number two, I can see why people hate this book, and I can see why I love it because it has some of my favorite things. But I'm fully prepared for some people to be like, this hero is trash. And I'm going to be like,
I know, that's the thing. Like I didn't even care what it was about. We were both just like trying to pick a Lisa Kleypas that Jen hadn't read mostly. But
and that was a standalone. We were trying to pick because Crystal's trying to read all of her books this year. Which I guess will mean I try to as well because I'm further along than you. So when I see you read them, maybe I'll dive into them too.
I'm excited. I'm very excited about that.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So there's only 2 weeks, so we'll be doing that one. But the second Thursday of every month is when we will normally be doing these, guys. So 2 weeks. I mean, most of you guys read these books the day before anyway. So I was like, it's not like we need to give people whole month anymore. We only did the end of the month so that you could read all 3 of these ones. But yeah.
So, all right. Well, I want to say thanks so much, everybody, for chatting and reading with us. This was so much fun. I loved it. I loved seeing everybody excited about it. I cannot wait to talk to Sarah tomorrow. I'm dying. And thank you, MacLeaners, for being here. And this is exciting. I loved these books. I loved this book. This book was perfect for me. But I love Sarah's writing. It's just phenomenal and just some great stuff. So
I'm so glad you found a favorite. That always makes me so happy when a friend is like, this was my favorite. Like, no matter what it is. I love
and
that.
it is like it still is. It's just so great. So all right. So I guess we'll end here. We love you all. We'll see you tomorrow on Jenn's channel.
Oh, yay.
Bye.